Hi, this is Buddy Guy. You are now listening to Bees with D. Don't move that dial because you might hear something from me.
All right, everybody, thank you for announcing into the Biz with D. And right now we have on Buddy Guy. And if you guys don't know who Buddy Guy is, well, you're about to find out right now. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good for an old fella. As I tell everybody else, it don't do me no good to complain at my age because it doesn't help. So I just keep that to myself.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for this interview. You're definitely a legend. And I definitely want to talk about your new album, Rhythm and Blues. How did you come up with the concept?
Well, I give all of the credit to the drummer, which is my producer, Tom Hambridge. We were in the studio down in Nashville, and we started on December the 4th, and we was making good progress on some of the things, and some of the things I wasn't happy with, and we just kept hitting, and after a while, everybody would smile, and they said, I think we got something pretty good here, pretty good there, and finally, after about 18 tracks, I said, well, hold it, man, if we got enough for the album, I don't know. I got this song here and I got that song. We'd go in today and get one, hopefully, and if we were lucky, we got two and we got three, and next thing I know, I counted and they said, we got 21, and how about this song here? And I'd say, well, okay, let me hear it, and I don't know, and we kept doing it, and everybody would smile and say, man, I don't know. We got enough, and my Tom came up, the producer, came up and says, man, we should just go for a double album. I said, well, if you think it's that good, let some other people kind of listen to it and see what they think, because I'm not good at that. If I was, I probably would have had a couple of hit records before now, years ago, but I'm not that good at it, especially listening to myself, because I know so many other great musicians out there that make great music, so I just leave the experts up to other people, because I listen at myself, and I learned from B.B. King about 30 years ago. He told me, he said, but I ain't never made nothing I like. I said, well, maybe I shouldn't complain then. But we just kept going, and finally the record company got listened at a few things, and they agreed to put the double album out, and I'm like saying, oh, well, whatever it can do, if it's going to help the blues, I go for it.
Mm-hmm. And it's definitely a phenomenal album, so I have to say congratulations. I mean, the numbers on Billboard charts, I mean, it debuted at #1. I mean, just knowing that, initially feeling that it wasn't something that you were like, okay, y'all think it's that good, but now knowing that it really is that great, how does it make you feel?
Well, it made me feel that I didn't throw my time away down there in Nashville, and that maybe I still have a little vibration in my hand, not as well as B.B. King. But I do rely on the guitar a lot, so I've heard some people who have heard it saying I was playing some pretty good solos there. So I've been working on that, and hopefully I did do something right to make sure the blues stay alive, because, we don't get exposure, what I mean by airplay with blues hollering no more, man. Before FM stations came out, AM stations played every kind of music, spiritual, jazz, blues, or whatever. Nowadays, if you can turn on the radio and hear Muddy Waters singing I Got My Mojo Working, I would probably pull over on the expressway and say, what this some here? Because they don't play that on the radio hardly anymore. Mm-hmm. Unless some youngster come up with some special effects and do it, which Jimi Hendrix did a lot of Muddy stuff, and it was Muddy style what he was doing, and then they say, wow, this is almost new stuff, until the British made America recognize who Muddy and Wolf and Walter and all those great blues players was. America didn't know who Muddy Waters was. A lot of what they call chitlin circuit, black people knew who he was, but the whites weren't aware of who Muddy, Walter, and all those people who was making good music coming back out of British with the bigger sound, the bigger amplifier, the special effects and all that stuff. Because if you listen to Voodoo Child by Jimi Hendrix, that's a Muddy Waters song, man. He said, I'm going back to Louisiana and getting me a Mojo hand.
Absolutely.
I had a talk with him before he died, and he tell me this is Muddy Waters style of Mojo Hand, but it's Voodoo Child with me.
Mhm. Yeah, I like that. That's a good song right there. And I got. I have to ask you, buddy. Just looking at how I actually took things, because I mean, you kind of. I've been wanting to ask you two things. One being, you know, the direction of music as far as like the crossover in the rhythm and blues, which is R&B for those who may be a little challenged, because you know, buddy, some people really don't know music too much. So I wanted to know, you know, what is your takes on like the crossover with R&B nowadays, with, you know, going over to the pop or hip hop going to pop? I'm just curious to know your takes on it.
Well, let me start at the top, and then I go to the bottom. My youngest daughter's into hip hop. I don't know if you remember who she is. Her name is Shauna. She started out there with Ludacris.
Oh yeah,
and they came
of her.
And they came up to me and she said, Dad, I want you to play on my record. I said, girl, I don't know how to play that stuff. She said, it's y'all stuff. And it's the same way that, you know, I was just being interviewed about an hour ago. You know, when I went into Chicago, next month will be 57 years ago, there wasn't no such a thing as hip-hop. It wasn't no such a thing as rock. It wasn't no such a thing as whatever they call it, light, what all these different names they got. It got so bad that once it was called Chicago South and West Side Blues, Motown, Memphis. Wasn't no such thing as that when I came in. Louis Jordan, Guitar Slim, you know, Fats Diamond, and all those guys was coming out of New Orleans. Everything was R&B. Little Richard, man, B.B. King, Muddy Waters, everybody was R&B. So to me, it's still R&B. You know, all these other names, I think they was trying to cash in on the fact that, okay, this was recorded in Chicago, so we'll call it a Chicago Blues. Oh, this was recorded in Michigan, Detroit. We'll call it Motown Blues. Because believe it or not, I don't know if you know, but Barry Gordy was in Chicago trying to give Lonely Teardrop to Chess, and they didn't, you know, they was experts. They just said, well, that ain't going nowhere. And that was the biggest record, one of the biggest records that ever was. And he went to Detroit and went in that house and did it. And a lot of other companies do the same thing, because when I got to Chicago, they looked at me and said, oh, nobody want to hear that stuff you playing. That's sound too much like Tom, Dick, and Harry, you know. So I just said, well, you know, I love it, so I ain't going to just let you tell me don't go no further, you know. So that's the way all those different names came up. And then when the British come in with it and turned those amps up, they was calling it some of everything. Some of the names I don't even repeat no more. But in my book, it's all still R&B, rhythm and blues.
Absolutely. And now I also want to know, because nowadays with music, people are constantly saying these artists are to blame as to why my child is, you know, pregnant, or that, you know, my child is doing something that they shouldn't be doing. Do you feel that parents or just people in general should blame the music industry? What do you think that they should be blaming that behavior on?
Well, let me put it to you like this. I was born on a farm in Louisiana. I didn't know what running water was until I was 17 years old. So, of course, you know, I didn't have electricity. But the first time I watched a movie, and they would come out to the church house where I was going to school, and put up an old reel with something like a bed sheet and show you the old Western movies. And there was a lot of shooting going on. The cowboys were supposed to be killing the Indians something, but guess what? They never did shoot the horse. So I didn't sit up there and say, well, buddy, you can go out there and shoot at a man all day. You ain't going to never hit the horse. So, I mean, it's just common sense. But my best answer to you for that, we done got so now, our system. When I was coming up, if you knew my mom and dad and I was doing something wrong, you would look at me and say, boy, I tell your dad, I would beg you not to tell my dad. Now the kid, a teacher can't tell the kid what to do, she'll lose her job. So the system is done changed. So now even if somebody do something that ain't got no money, they don't want him in jail. They want somebody in jail who gonna come spend some money and get him out. Man, this whole system, as dumb as I am, I don't have a high school education. You can see that, and that leads back to just what you was asking me. You can't just look at a kid and see on a movie where all this killing and going on, and then you turn on your television the next day and the actor's sitting there talking to you live, but he got killed yesterday on the movie. These kids know that, man. Do you know a kid 5 years old now is more advanced than me and you was when we were 5? And they ain't as dumb as we was, because sometimes we had to figure out now with all the technology, and you can see things on TV now that I didn't know. There wasn't no such thing as a television when I was 7 and 8 years old. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, this is just common sense and our system. I couldn't be a politician because they'd kill me tomorrow, because I tell the truth on everything, man, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth is in our political and our system, what's going on, and that's the problem we got.
Definitely.
It's not music. It's not music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I feel that it's not music neither, but everybody wants to, say that it is, and the exposure of women. And I'm like, look, it started way back, and it didn't start with music.
Well, let me say this. Do you know if you have to go to court for anything today, even if it's a divorce, do you know the judge? To me, the judge should just sit up there and listen at the husband and wife. Mm-hmm. But your lawyer would tell you can't say that, which is the truth. What you want to tell it, what you want the judge or the jury to know, they'll say, no, you can't say that. You got to say what I want you to say. Now, how in the hell they know what it is, and you the one telling them what happened between the two people, So if you can't say the truth, why go? And let me make a long story short. Do you know how much it costs to get you married? I ain't been married a while now. Probably $20 to get the license, but now go try to get rid of it.
Too much.
so that's the system, man. So let's use just common sense and stop blaming what I say. Because if you would go by everything I would say, I wouldn't have to do nothing but speak once, and the world would listen, man. Everybody should have their own opinion about where they want to live their lives. I don't mean violence. I don't mean treating you wrong. I got a lyric in one of my songs. I want to be treated the way you treat me, And everybody should be able to accept your religion as well as mine, whether it's Baptist, Catholic, or whatever. So stop saying, I want you to be like I want you to be, and let you be like you want to be, and I think we'd have a better place to live.
Definitely. That's so true. That is so true. So now I have to ask you about your song, Tramp, which I absolutely love, from the Sweet Tea album. That was a phenomenal album. Just thinking back to the recording process of Tramp, what state of mind were you in with that song?
Well, that song belonged to the best man. Otis Redding, and I think it was Otis and Carlos Thomas did that, but I forget what the cat did that with Chess. Laura Forson, I think, might have been. It was Laura Forson did that with the Chess before Otis and them got it. So that wasn't something that Buddy Guy came up with. I was down there in Tennessee and did that, and they had me in that old vintage studio, and they was trying to come up with some of those original sounds, which you didn't have all the technology you got now. You had a reel with a razor blade. If you missed a beat, you had to cut the tape and cut the beat out back then. Now you punch a button and the technology will erase it and replace it. So we were just coming up with all of those older guys' songs, and most of my stuff up until those records was me trying to redo what some of the greatest that ever did. It got away with it. And you can't fulfill T-Bone Walker, Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, and Little Waltz in them shoes, man. You can redo their stuff, but you can't do that stuff like they did, man. When I was first met Muddy Waters, as soon as I met him, he was just talking to me, and I was patting my feet because he sounded like he was singing, man. And you hear the Howlin' Wolf voice. I said, well, when I meet him, I know I ain't going to know him because that's a false voice. As soon as he said hi, I said, this is him. because that was natural. That wasn't no way he sung the record with a false voice. That was just the way he sounds, speaking and singing.
Absolutely. So I know that you learned how to play the acoustic guitar at an early age. No.
Let me stop you right there, man. Not at an early age, because I didn't have. I told you earlier I didn't know what running water was until I was 17, man. But my dad and them would go get this guy every Christmas on the farm, and I would see a guitar every Christmas. Otherwise, I didn't know what no guitar was. And my first guitar, I think I was about 15 or so when I saw it and got my hands on one, which was from that guy they go get every Christmas. And I didn't have time to do nothing with that thing out there on the farm, man, with one string or two strings on it. And finally, a stranger gave me a guitar when I was about 16 or 17.
Oh, wow. That's still young, though, buddy.
Well, it's not young as Quinn Sullivan, man. I don't know if you know about him yet, but if you don't, when you look him up on YouTube, that's used that name, Quinn Sullivan. And he was 7 when I met him, and I tell him now. I told his dad last week he was on the show with me. I said at 7 years old, I couldn't even play a radio because I didn't have one.
Wow. And, I mean, just thinking back in how technology has really, like, improved. I mean, does it sometimes, like, surprise you how, like, especially with the production side, because, I mean, you mentioned it, like, now, with the push of a button, you know, when it comes to a take, you can take it out. But back then, you really had to do that take over.
Oh yeah, over and over again. If you thought you could correct something, actually, they done got so good now, man. You can go in the studio if your guitar's out of tune while you playing. You just keep that because they can tune that up now, man. And I'm like saying, wow, because actually one of my sessions I was in, and I think we had took maybe 4 or 5 takes on it, and I went to the bathroom, and I come back, and they was playing it, and I said, well, who's that? And they said, oh, that's you. I said, you got to be kidding. Yeah, the technology, man, and not changing subjects. You know, every time you turn your radio or television, you hear somebody complaining about the situation the whole world is in with jobs and all that. Everybody pointing their fingers, man, but nobody never point their finger at technology, man. Do you know one man is doing a 20-man job now in construction work? Well, it used to take 20 men to roll with the wheelbarrow. If you go to a kid now about 11 years old, ask him what is a wheelbarrow, he don't know what the hell that is. But I do, because you used to have to, my dad and them used to have to run with the cement up the hill with that stuff now, man. You don't see no wheelbarrow hardly anymore.
Mm-mm. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't know. And it's so crazy that time has progressed and it's just life. People don't know about those things, but they'll learn, because you know what, buddy? Everything that was, you know, once was in existence has to come back.
You know, I don't know. You know, in my lifetime, I don't think I'm going to see that. But you are right. You know, it's nothing replaces, like you actually about the guitars. There's nothing replaced that vintage guitar, man, and they went from a good sounding guitar to a good looking guitar. They forgot about the sound. Even your car right now, man, that my 1955 T-Bird, man, I can come out and push your car if your car is disabled, and your car be messed up by the time I get it to where you want it. But that T-Bird ain't gonna have a scratch on it, man. You know, and that's the way everything else here. You know, people hollering now about quit smoking or quit doing this. And when I was 14 years old, if you said cancer, that was something. I'm like, what is that? Now cancer is almost like a hangover, man. You know. And you look at what we're eating. You know, you might well just smoke a cigarette and eat a piece of a chicken drumstick now, because I had my grandkids laugh about a month ago. I said, let's go to the store and fry y'all some drumsticks. And I looked at the butcher. I said, man, I'm looking for drumsticks. And he pointed at them. I said, man, them turkey legs. That thing is big as a turkey leg. So I don't know, you know, it's the stuff they feed. And man, it wasn't when I was born on a farm with cattle, mules, and horses, and wasn't no such thing as mad cow disease or salmonella. We used to go in the yard and turn that chicken's neck if I want a piece of chicken and blood was everywhere, man. I'm still talking to you now. I ain't had no salmonella, so I think it's something they're feeding the chicken.
Definitely. So now
Yeah.
I did have a chance to read your autobiography that you wrote last year, which is entitled "When I Left Home: My Story." Just in case people don't haven't checked out the book. When you what made you want to write a book?
I don't think that was my idea, but it had been thrown at me long before I decided to do this. And every time I would be approached about the book, everybody told me, if you want to sell a lot of books, you got to lie. And I said, well, I'm not going to write it, because if I make up my mind to be affiliated with writing a book, I just want the people to know the truth and the natural fact of life, of the way I came up. My education, it didn't come from school. It came from the streets, and the musicians that I know that no longer with us left me with the information that I put in that book, which is the truth.
Absolutely. So now, buddy, they have the album out, Rhythm and Blues. For those who haven't checked it out, what is one thing that when they go get that album, which they're going to have to go get it after this interview, because I'm going to force their hands to, go to iTunes and everything else and go to Target to get it. What's one thing that you would say about that album that would just so it really enjoy?
Well, first of all, I didn't write the song. Robert Randolph, which is a great young man playing the slide guitar, he wrote the one about Meet Me in Chicago, and I met all the greatest people that I ever known in my life in Chicago. I met a few blues players before I left Louisiana, Lightning Slim Harpo. But all those great ones from Chess, from John Lee Hooker, Etta James, and all of us was there in Chicago. And that song, and then I got a few emotional songs on there that I think you should pay a close attention to. And the most important thing about that album or anybody else's album is people don't understand what the blues is. Don't just sit there and listen at the blues said making me cry. Listen at what we say, and some of it is sad. But if you keep playing it, that's a happy song about it. Because when you hear B.B. King saying, man, I got a sweet little angel, I love the way she spreads her wings. And I asked him, I said, man, I was looking up in the sky. He said, sit down, fool, let me tell you, you have to read between lines on some of the things we say. But now since hip-hop come out, you almost could say what you want to say now. You don't have to beat around the bush, which what I learned from on the farm. Don't say that. Just beat around the bush and let somebody figure out what you meant. So that's the problem with that. But anyway, they got several great songs on there. I had the pleasure of help writing 1 or 2, 4 or 5 of them. But the other ones, man, like Keith Urban, he's on that tune, man, about don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait another day, man. If you listen to that, that's like there's a lyric in there say what you got to say today, because it might not be another day, and things like that. And that's like you losing a loved one or something like that. So this is what blues and sad and unsad blues is all about. So the record has got some happiness sides of it, and the girl from she's going to come on the show with me at the Bowl in Hollywood next month, and some of the lyrics she's singing, and man, it almost made me cry, because she's I mean, if you just listen to the album and then talk to me later, tell them call me, I'll explain to them what it is.
Absolutely, I definitely will. So now, besides the album, what things do you have in the works? Is there a tour that we can expect?
Well, if this album make any kind of noise whatsoever, I just hope it helps keep the blues alive, and I'll be ready to go in the studio if the record company want me to, whenever it's necessary, to try to keep it alive. And I'm really pulling for Gary Clark Jr. and Little Quinn Sullivan, because these are the young people that's going to help keep this stuff alive. Because if there's anything can do for blues, jazz is catching the same problem blues is. So whatever young person can come up and keep this music alive, that we have dedicated our lives to I'm just for it, because just before Muddy Waters died, I got a call like a week before he died, and I said, oh, man, I got to go out and see him. And the late Junior Wells and I called him. He said, man, don't come out here. I'm not ill. Just keep the blues alive. And then a week later, I get the call. I said, well, what do you think about Muddy's past? And I said, he ain't passed because he told me it's okay. But he just hid that from us. So what I want to do is just pass it on, man, like they did it to me. They passed it on, and thank God I'm here for you to talk to you about it this morning.
Absolutely. Well, buddy, thank you so much again for this interview, sir. It's definitely an honor to be speaking with you.
Well, thank you very much, and it's an honor for me to speak to you, and whatever you can do to help the blues stay alive, I'm always available. And you don't have to wait. Let's keep in touch with Anna, who hooked us up. And if any more questions you need to know, just let me know, and I'll be glad to do that.
Absolutely, I definitely will. So where can all your fans find you, as far as your websites and social media is concerned?
Oh, he's on Facebook and Twitter.
All right. Well, buddy, thanks again for this interview. We do appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much. You have a great day. Whenever I'm there, you come and see me. Let's keep in touch with Anna then. The doors are always open.
Absolutely. I see you'll be in Atlantic City soon, so I definitely want to come to your show.
All right. I'm not a gambler, but just look for the first penny in my slot machine, and you'll find me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.